can't tell the Rebbe what to do. But is there a way I can like download this page and send it to everybody, or that's like too much to ask? There's a way of
Either you could screenshot or you might get the download.
If I screenshot, it'll take the whole page or just the part that's on this.
You just send the link, yeah.
But you want it for right now?
You do your screenshot.
Yeah, I want to send it to you now.
Yeah,
Oh, you don't have your phone. Okay, so I'm going to.
Do you want another projector? I can ask.
No, that's good. I'm going to read it. I want to tell you why this is an issue for me. You know, one of the ideas that the Rebbe really brought to a focus that was not a focus before was the place of the Rebbetzin in the Siyas of Chabad. The Rebbe talked about the Rebbetzin like she was a Rebbe. After she passed away. Before she passed away, you never heard, but she existed. After the Rebbetzin passed away, the Rebbe talked about her non-stop. I mean, I remember the Sikhe. It was 37 years ago. About, time is it? About 37 years and 40 minutes ago. I'll never forget. I remember where I was standing. The Rebbe was home. The Rebbe was home. When the Rebbe was home, the hookup would come on and they would talk. So you didn't have a regular place. So I remember a lot of the sichas that Rebbe said in his house from where I was standing when the Rebbe spoke. Okay, it's 7 minutes after 11 in the morning. The Rebbe never spoke after Shachris, never. He usually spoke after Ma'ariv, occasionally spoke after Mincha. I'm holding a cup of coffee. I remember where I was standing. I was standing by the pushkas in the back of the shul downstairs. I was probably going upstairs because I had a chavrus. I was sitting and learning. And the Rebbe's voice comes on. The Rebbe davened Shachris in his home for the Yomid. And the Rebbe, of course, started davening 10 o'clock, not 9:30 as it was before. Then went upstairs, took off his Talson's film. Now, the Rebbe's Talson's film takes longer than you and me because he puts on 4 pairs, not 2 pairs. And came back downstairs and started to talk. Who was in the house? I don't know. Whoever was still hanging around, but usually he didn't hang around the Rebbe's house. And he spoke about the Rebbe's birthday. And that's when the Rebbe made the Miftzah Yom Haledes official. He made it on her birthday. The Minhagim he would introduce after Pesach. The Minhagim Yom Haledes are not printed in the Sikh of Chafei Yoder, which is Muga. It's in the Sikh of Achei Pesach. You can't find it because it's in the Krach Sheni of the Sefer HaSichas Tafshin Memches. The Rebbe made such a big deal out of the Rebbetzin. He really did. And I don't know what the right word is. I'm superstitious. I'm lighthearted. I don't know. Things that nobody else thinks about, I do think about. You have to realize that the Rebbe's kapitel, the Rebbe's kapitel, this past year and the year before, which means the Rebbe's current kapitel and the next kapitel, are very, very upsetting kapitelach. Kapitel Kuf Chof Gimel and Kuf Chof Dalet are very, very heavy kapitlach. And if you think about what's happening to the Yidden in the world, it's aligned with the kapitlach of the Rebbetzins in a really interesting way. In other words, when the October 7th happened, the Rebbe was still saying Kuf Chof Beis, but the Rebbe was saying Kuf Chof Gimel. You know what it means? Halag hasha'ananim, halag hasha'ananim. We say this every day. There was only 4 psukim, 5 psukim. Halag, when you're laughed at by some guy who's sitting on a beach chair doing nothing, and he's laughing at you. Halag hasha'ananim. The kapitel. I teach the Rebbe's kapitel. It's one of the things that I go crazy over every year. I spend, as soon as the term ends, I spend hours and hours researching the Rebbe's kapitel. I teach it. It's one of the things that I put myself into complete. I've been teaching Rebbe's kapitel now for more than 20 years. And the Rebbe's kapitel is bitter. And the Rebbe's kapitel is also bitter. In other words, the kapitel we're going to start saying for the Rebbe, this year Aleph Nissen, is also very powerful. What does it say? Lulei ad Hashem shehaya lanu. If not that the Eibusher would help us, we'd be gefelach. But the Eibusher does help us. If you look at the kapitel Achtilim, and you look what's going on with Eretz Yisrael, you should see the idea that the generation follows the head. But the Rebbetzin is a year and 2 weeks older than the Rebbe. So based on this idea that the Rebbe and the Rebbe are one person, so you want to quickly move to the next kapitel, because this was very positive. The Rebbe's kapitel that we said this past year, and the Rebbe's kapitel which we're currently saying, and the kapitel we're going to say next year, Hashem is looking after the Jews, but He's making it tricky. so I've had this hergish for a year, that when it comes to the Rebbe's birthday, I got to teach the kapitel. I have to teach it. I don't like teaching the Rebbe's kapitel, because it's enough teaching the Rebbe's kapitel. It's an enormous amount of work. And I decided I'm not doing it. And for the last 4 days, this billiard ball was bouncing around in my head. You said you were going to do the Rebbe's kapitel. And I chickened out because I didn't have time to research it. I'm walking from that building to this building and said, I'm doing it. Because, again, if you look at the kapitel we said every day for the last year for the Rebbe, and the kapitel we said a year ago for the Rebbe, which we're currently saying for the Rebbe, if you don't know Hebrew, everything's wonderful. If you don't know Hebrew, it's valdik, everything's good. But if you never know Hebrew, the end is good, it's always good. But the process, what is the kapitel? Shiram Alis. What that means, a slave, yeah? A slave looks to his master for help. Why? Because his master loves him. Because he loves his master. I'm asking you a question. Because he has no options. The only place he can look is his master. He belongs to him. That's the Rebbe's kapitel. And then we beg, we suffered so much indignity. So much indignity. One time embarrassed, the second time embarrassed. People the shir. Rabbis, we did 3 times shame. In the kapitel of the Rebbe's. Now I'm breaking your heart. Why? It's almost the end of the year. You're almost stopping to say it. You never thought about it. It was a wonderful kapitel. Why? It was very short. And Paltiel is losing you by telling you what the Hebrew means in English never. The Rebbe's kapitel that we just said, that we start saying for the Rebbe, is even more powerful. If not the fact that the Eibush stands and holds us, that because people get up again, as they chayim would be swallowed up alive. Because it's right. All right. As I write, and how does it finish? Hashem helps, but these 2 kapitlach have not been so much fun. They haven't been so much fun. So today we start kapitel Kuf Chav Hey for the Rebbe, and this is a good one. This one doesn't need Kabbalah, you understand? Doesn't need pshat. It's interesting. Shabbos morning we say this kapitel. Shabbos morning we say Kuf Chav Beis, Kuf Chav Gimel, Kuf Chav Dal. We stop every day. Did you notice? Before Shir Shayim you say kapitel Kuf Chav Dal. The Rebbe's kapitel. Right or wrong? Luli adeshem shahoya Eloheinu ludish bekum azay bachareis apam banu azay over adeshem barach adeshem shaleidas notef nafshenu kitzip and nimla. Hashem saves us and protects us, but it's how they say it in the language of the 3 little pigs, which you didn't learn because you grew up after the Gezerah, but reading not 3 little pigs, but it's saved by the hair of his chinny chin chin. I think that's Goldilocks. I forgot which story it is. One of those. The hair that when I was a kid, my mother used to hear us all these fairy tales that you never heard. The Eibush just saves us by the hair of a chinny chin chin. Mamish, come. Until you got to this one. Until you got to this kapitel. This kapitel is Pashat Kishmak. So I want to read it to you. I'm wasting your time, I'm sorry. But like I said, I wasn't going to do it, and I'm walking and saying, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. We're starting to say for the Rebbe, such a positive kapitel. Everything is positive. By the Eibush love the Jews. I'm 59 years old, and every day I get stupider. Every day I get stupider than the day before. So I want to tell you part of my stupid. Part of my stupid is that I actually believe with my full heart that the Jews are the chosen people. When I was 20, it was like, really? We're the chosen people? Now, there's a lot of reasons why you have a problem with the Jews being the chosen people. Number 1, it doesn't feel that way. Number 2, when we say we're chosen, you make everybody hate you. Right? And there's a bunch of other reasons, but they're all gefällig, yeah? When you live in this world, as I have, and you see how Jews survive and thrive. Now, of course, now you're supposed to scream Holocaust so that the conversation ends. Save the Holocaust for after class, please. It's a conversation which I don't want to have because I will insult you, and I'm not in the mood of insulting you because the capital is doing all the insults for yesterday, not for today. When you live in this world long enough, you pashut see a fact. Jews are so special. Jews are in the middle of all the tzaras, middle of what we call anti-Semitism. Yidden are such a blessed people. It's not normal how blessed we are. It's not normal. Wie viel gebencht Yidden sind. And don't think for 1 minute it's because we're smart, and because we're college educated, and because we're resourceful, and because we've had hard lives. We learned how to survive. The Jews are blessed because God loves them. Period. The end. It's not about us, but God. And the older you'll get, the simpler this will be. Not because you're going to learn Chassidus better, you're going to have more bittul, because you're pashut going to see it in life. The Eibishter loves Yidden. But boy, does he play cat and mouse with us. This love is so, what's the right word? it's tempered. Can you stop talking? Whoever's schmoozing over there, you're making me nervous. It's tempered, it's colored by that terrible curse that's called free will. Unfortunately, we have choices to make, and we often make stupid ones. And the Eibishter has to balance out all of his love for us with the fact that we are free to do the most idiotic thing. I'll say it to you in the most direct terms, okay? Israel, the state of Israel, which we don't buy into, we believe in Eretz Yisrael and Eretz HaKodesh. We don't even recognize the whole business of Medinat Yisrael, but it started in 1948. Now it's 2025. This is Karga 90 It's less than 90 years old, yeah? Less than 80 years old. 77 years old. Eretz Yisrael exists in spite of the Jews living there. We put our foot in our mouth. We shoot ourselves in the foot over and over and over and over again. And we say, well, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. Look, we're still here. Fair Dana. You know why you're still here? Because every stupid thing you do, the Abraham has to undo with 50 miracles. You know the story of the 6 Day War? You heard the story of the 6 Day War? That was the only time we didn't act like idiots in the entire history of Israel. And in 48 also. The 6 Day War, we started the war. We were the aggressors. And we won the war the way a Jew was supposed to win a war. Like it says in Tanakh. If we started the Yom Kippur, we knew the Yom Kippur War was starting. Could you stop talking? Or I'll stop? Whoever, I can't see. I have no glasses. I'm looking at the neighborhood. I'm not looking at any person. I hear a whisper and talk. That neighborhood is whispering. I'm not talking to you. I don't know who you are. And it's supposed to stay that way. The Yom Kippur War, we let the Arabs start, knowing that it was coming. We didn't even mobilize the reserves because we didn't want to anger the world. And we lost hundreds of Israeli boys were killed because of political cowardice. Cowardice. You know what happened to Egypt? They're marching into Israel like a hot knife through butter. There was no soldiers. They're marching through the Sinai, and they were convinced that this is a trap. It wasn't a trap. There was nobody there. So they stopped. They could have marched into Tel Aviv. There was no army against them. Now, is that a ness or is that a ness or is that a ness, huh? So Israel's such a successful country? Of course it's a successful country. Because God loves us. The Rebbe once said, it's not a mitzvah to always rely on the Eibishter's miracles. Sometimes do b'derech hateva. If Eretz Yisrael did b'derech hateva, what any normal country would do to preserve itself, we wouldn't have this Naddishkeit with Gaza and with West. Oh, it would not exist. But we want to be nice. We want to love us. So we do stupid stuff. And we know that Hashem is going to bail us out anyway, so we can afford to be idiots. Because He's going to save it. It happens over, it happens over, it happens over again. So the love that the Eibishter has for the Jewish people is tempered by our own idiotic choices. You follow what I'm saying? Now let me say it in our language. We're Chassidish kids. We're Chassidish. Right? Since God created man, there have been people like us, right? We also make stupid choices. Lots of them. And the Eibishter has to dance his miracles around our stupid choices. If we wouldn't make stupid choices, it would be a lot easier, and the miracles would be better and more revealed. It's not just them. It's the story of the Jewish people.
What do you mean the miracles will be more revealed? Isn't it sometimes more revealed when we make the wrong choices because Hashem needs to save us?
But why do we have to put him in that position?
But it's not like a difficulty for Hashem.
Hashem, I understand. But it's a stupidity on our part. Hashem didn't say, be stupid so I can perform a miracle. We said I'm going to be stupid and rely on the miracle. Yeah? Richtig? Yeah, it's not, it says no place in the Chumash be stupid. No place. There was a Chassidish Yid, there was not a Lubavitcher. He was a big Goan. And he knew Tanya by heart. He knew everything by heart. So his Talmidim were testing him once. They asked him words in Tanya, where they're written. So he would say some words, and he would say where they were. Say some words, and finally one of the Bacham asked him, "Vi shteit va'al tihi shoite." Where does it say in Tanya, "Don't be a fool"? And he answered in every single word, "Va'al yishoite," in every word. Don't be an idiot. So we have in our own lives poor choices that we make, which never causes the Eibusha to do miracles. If we would make those poor choices, the miracles would be simpler and more revealed. When you look at Kapitel Kuf Chav Gimel, Kuf Chav Dal, Kuf Chav Hey, this is the narrative. But this one's a good one. It's not veiled. So I'm going to read it. Okay, if you want to take out a Tillim and say with me, you're welcome to. I'm just going to read and translate the Kapitel. Why? Because I'm a very, very impulsive man, and I do whatever I want. I'm sorry about Pesach. You can go onto the website. Go to Inside Chassidus. I have 10 classes on Pesach by the Rebbe and a whole bunch of other speeches. You can listen to me until you fall asleep. Go ahead.
I was wondering if before we go into learning it, you could explain to us the significance
Of
like the Rebbe's Kapitel and what the meaning has to do with the Rebbe's and us.
It's self-explanatory. It speaks for itself. No introduction necessary. Shir HaMalas. This is a song of ascent. You know what ascent means? To go from a lower level to a higher level. You're going up. Who's going up? Haboitchem B'Hashem. Those who have betachan in the Meibusha. Those who trust God. That those who trust God, when they sing a song of ascent, they're kahar tziyin. They're like Har Tziyin. Har Tziyin means the mountain of Yerushalayim. And of course the connotation of the word is that we're strong, where our betachan is immovable. Lo yimeit will never move from its place. Lo oilam yeshiv, it's going to be there forever. So just like Har Tziyin is lo yimeit and lo oilam yeshiv, just like Yerushalayim is there forever, it's always going to be the city of God. Our Yid, who's Beit Hashem, is as certain and as constant as Har Tziyin. Yerushalayim, the city of Yerushalayim, Harim Tzadavla, it's surrounded by mountains, and the mountains, of course, protect it. Similarly, just like Yerushalayim is surrounded by mountains, Vadeshem Tzadavla, the Eibush surrounds his people. He protects us. Meyatav Yadelim, forever and ever, from now until eternity. The Eibishter will not allow the whip of the Resha, of the sinners, on the lot of Tzadikim. Laman, and the Eibishter is going to prevent the Shevet HaResha, the whip of the Rasha, to not to touch a Yid. Laman, so that La Yishluch HaTzadikim Ba'avlosa Yedeyim. So that Tzadikim should not have to put their hands into a place of Avla. The Eibishter does not allow Shevet HaResha, the whip of Reshoyim, to touch us, so that the Tzadikim should not have to put their hands into wrongdoings. And of course, the pshat is that if you have to fight with an enemy, you got to get yourself dirty. But if there's no enemy to fight with, you have to get dirty in the first place, and that's the connotation. The Eibusha does not allow the whip of Reshoyim to touch the goydel of Tzadikim, so Tzadikim do not have to go to the place of Avla, which means they don't have to go to Gaza. You understand? Heitiva ad Hashem latoivim. Hashem is good to those who do good. V'li yeshare b'li boisam, and those who are righteous in their heart. Hashem does good, and every Jew is in that category. Don't ask me any questions, okay? V'hamatim akalkalesam, and those who go in the wrong direction. Yelichem ad Hashem, the Eibusha should send them, those who go in the crooked direction, es pei ale'oven, to the place with those who do evil. No, he should send them away. Why? So there should be Shalom Yisrael, and the Jewish people should have peace. This kapitel is easy to read. It's all in our favor, you understand? And there's not one part of this kapitel which speaks to our being stupid. The other kapitel. Anyway, I had to teach it. So starting today, we take kapitel Chof Chafei, and when you're reading Tillim, there's no such thing as a bad kapitel. But some of the kapitel are Elecha Nasasi Es Eni Yeshi Bashamayim. it's a strong capital. It's a very, very strong capital. And the capital basically is we're begging God. You have to understand, if you understand the neshama of the capital, you know the upside of the capital. You can visit Inside Chassidus.org. There's a website I heard about, yeah? He has like 10 classes on the capital. The whole capital is 5 psukim, but he has 10 classes, or 9. He talks a lot, that guy. If you want to hear the pshat on the capital, I did it. But those capital are bittersweet. This is not bittersweet, this is sweet. So starting today, it's the Rebbetzins' birthday, and the Rebbetzins never won. So the Nasi Adar is going into 125. Why? Because it's sehr geschmack. The Yikid is Shalom Yisrael. That's the most important thing. And of course, the biggest mishigas that we have, we talk about free will. Yeah, we're in the middle of fighting with the whole world, and we're fighting with each other. I mean, it's a special Jewish trick. Mamish. Do you know that in the Warsaw ghetto there was politics? In the Warsaw ghetto during the Second World War, the Jews were fighting with each other. Who was in charge? The Nazis were killing Jews like you kill cockroaches, and we were fighting with each other. That's a goynish model of Yiddish idiocy. You know, Nebuch, the Abish gave us free will, and we exercise it. We guaranteed that he has to perform miracles because we act like idiots. Shalom Yisrael means we don't act like idiots. That's the taich. Shalom Yisrael, Jews get along. Can you imagine that? I don't know what's going on in Israel, but they're fighting with each other. The Abish makes nisim and flies in spite of that. That's like Shalom Yisrael. Okay. I made my rant. Now I can talk about Pesach. Anybody want to say anything? I'll be happy to tell. Field we'll talk about Pesach in a few minutes.
Yeah, just something about, in the end of the part it says Shama Yisrael.
Right.
Okay, so just something about Shama Yisrael that we watched last year, like during video, we were out there like telling one chassid whose name is Shalom, and to tell his friend whose name is Shalom, Shalom Yisrael.
Yeah. It's a video, it's an audio.
It's an audio.
From Tafshin Design, put him.
Yeah.
Very special for Brengen. Very special for Brengen. Very special for Brengen. Anybody else?
Can we take this capital as a Rosh Chodesh that's going to be happening?
I am. You can do whatever you want. Go ahead.
I'm just curious if like anything was done for the Rebbetzins' birthday before she passed away. Like, do people know about the birthday?
Okay, I can only speak for myself. She was not a part of our life unless you were one of those special people who knew her. That's the truth. That's the truth. If I would see the Rebbe in the street, I would not know who she was. I never saw her in my life, and I was born and raised in Crown Heights.
So we only know that like when her birthday is now because of the Rebbe.
No, we knew. We knew because, first of all, the Rebbe said her capital. You know, the Rebbe used to come to shul for Kriyas HaTeirah. The Rebbe used to come to shul for Kriyas HaTeirah Monday and Thursday. But he didn't daven with the minyan. And when the Rebbe came for Kriyas HaTeirah, he would keep the door behind him open. When the Rebbe davened Mincha and Mariv, he would close the door. So the people could stand behind the Rebbe and look what the Rebbe was doing. So the Rebbe came into the shul, and they would right away say, V'hi ben Soya, and the Rebbe would look at the Chumash. Between the Aliyahs, the Rebbe used to prepare the Rashi, the Rebbe was going to say Shabbat by Fabrengen, and then would point with his finger at the Rashi, so we knew A, there's going to be a Fabrengen, B, which Rashi he was going to talk on. And then there was Asher of Otzion. The Rebbe would wait till the Sefer Torah went back after Otzion. During Asher of Otzion, the Rebbe would say Tillim. So you would watch the Rebbe say his capital, and then the Rebbe says capital. And it would say first the earlier capital, and the Rebbe was older than the Rebbe. Say that you would watch the Rebbe do it. So we knew the Rebbe since birthday. We knew the Rebbe since age. Maybe they were. I'm sure they were. I mean, you had to have a certain chush. You had to have a certain chush. The Rebbetzin became a Rebbetzin for most of us after she passed away. The Rebbe made her into a Rebbetzin. She didn't actually. She was a Rebbetzin from the moment she was born, but she was not in our lives. That's my experience. Anybody else want to say anything?
No.
Okay. Let's talk about Pesach. Okay, let's talk about Pesach.
Thank you for teaching us.
You're welcome. Now next time, today when you'll say it, it's a good capital. It's just not, we should add it to the Shabbos morning davening. You know, Kuf Chov Beis and Kuf Chov Gimel, we said. The bit of that capital, we finish Ezreinu at the Shem, B'Shem, 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 and then we stop. We always start Hallelujah. I'm kidding around. What we do in Siddur, it should stay the same. Don't fix it. The guys who did it are smarter than us. We should at least know that we're dumb, you know, which is also high madrega. Let's start with this, okay? The Rebbe, our Rebbe, visited France in 1947, Tafshin Zayin, to pick up his mother. The Friedrich Rebbe sent him. If the Friedrich would not send the Rebbe wouldn't go. The Rebbe went after Purim, and he stayed till after Shavuos. He was there 3 months. Now, officially, the Rebbe went to get his mother, and the reason it took 3 months to bring the Rebbe into America is because when the Rebbe came to Paris, she was not only in poor health, she was in poor physical condition. She didn't look healthy. And the immigration of the United States would never let her into the country. That the should make the Rebbe, she should eat, she should gain some weight, she should look prettier, healthier, they should let her into America. And getting the Rebbe and Chana to America was actually a nest because she did have a certain illness that should have prevented her from getting immigration, but it was arranged, But it took, that's why the Rebbe was there 3 months. The Rebbe and Chana could not travel. They had to prepare her when she went to the board that examines people for immigration. They would accept her in the quota and allow her to come to the United States. But of course, the Friedrich Rebbe sent the Rebbe to France, not just to wait for his mother to get well. The Rebbe was sent by the previous Rebbe to France to meet Anash, and for Anash to meet him. It was the real first opportunity for people to get to know our Rebbe, who never opened his mouth before. And the Rebbe conquered Paris. Everybody was in Paris at the time. Lubavitch is not Lubavitch. If you were from Yid in Paris, and you would meet this Rebbe, this Ramash, the son-in-law of the Rebbe, he blew you away. I mean, everything about him was just so wowing. And the Rebbe Fabrengt, he gave shiurim. The Rebbe made a huge splash. He did everything very quietly, as was his custom. But everybody knew he was there, and he left a mark. The Rebbe conquered Chassidim, and that trip the Rebbe made a bunch of Chassidim, who would be his, who were not even Lubavitchers. They met the Rebbe then, and they were sold. They were sold. And the stories about that period are very special. There's a whole book on it. But the Rebbe stayed in a hotel, and his mother stayed in the Schneerson household. There was a Yid named Zalman Schneerson. Zalman Schneerson was actually a first cousin of the Rebbe's father, Rebbe Leibig. Their fathers were brothers. And the Rebbe Zachana stayed in their home. And the Rebbe would come to see his mother every day, twice a day he would come see his mother. And there's a guy who tells the stories. He knew exactly. The Rebbe came like clockwork to visit his mother. He came in the afternoon. He came again at 7 o'clock in the evening. And he would sit with his mother for a while. They would schmooze. There's a whole thing. But the Rebbe Tzanchana was very, very interested in her son's kavod. He was very, very interested in the Rebbe becoming treated the way he deserved to be treated. So she delighted in every opportunity that there was for the Rebbe to make fabrengens, to sit with Chassidim, because she wanted to show him off. I mean, there was what to show off, you know what I'm saying? So one day the Rebbe says to the Chevre who were in the house, by Zalman Schneerson, Heint is Yid Aleph Nissen. Today is Yid Aleph Nissen, today is the Rebbe's birthday, you have to ask the Rebbe to make a fabrengen. So somebody went over to the Rebbe and said to the Rebbe that they heard that today is the Rebbe's birthday, and it would be nice if the Rebbe said, sure, so the fabrengt. And that was a fabrengen, it was a good fabrengen. I mean, all the fabrengens of the Rebbe were good, but that was a special fabrengen, it was only a Nash. And I guess that's the first time Chassidim celebrated the Rebbe's birthday, Yid Aleph Nissen. When the Rebbe became Rebbe, he played down his birthday. The Rebbe was very humble. I mean, really, disgustingly humble. The Rebbe did not make Yid Aleph Nissen an official fabrengen until 1971, Tafshin Lamed Aleph. Before that, it was very intermittent. But Chassidim knew it was the Rebbe's birthday, and if they didn't know, the Rebbe's mother was there to remind them. And Chassidim fabrengt, So the first Yid Aleph Nissen was 1951, Tafshin Yid Aleph. The Rebbe went to the oil. Before the Rebbe went to the oil, he sent Rabbi Groner into the Beis HaMedrash. Leibel Groner was a bocher of 21 years old, and he was the Rebbe's shamish. He worked with the Rebbe then, and he sent Rabbi Groner into the Beis HaMedrash to tell the bocherim that he's going to the oil. And he said these words: "Die was einen great ibitz geben sich mit ein emes sollen unterschreiben Shmom v'Shemim. Men wird nicht beten gedeles in Etzuris, aber men soll wissen, dass nicht kein joke." Which means, those who are ready to give themselves over to me, to the new Rebbe, truthfully, honestly, completely, should write on a piece of paper the name of their mother's name, he'll take it to the oil. I'm not going to ask you to do very crazy things, but you should know that it's not a joke. If you put your name on this paper, it's a nishka joke. So all the Bachrim wrote their names down, the Rebbe took it to the This was Yud Aleph. The next year, 1952, the Rebbe turned 50. There was born in 1902, Tafshin Beis. So Tafshin Yud Beis, the Rebbe turned, Tafresh Samach Beis, the Rebbe turned 50. So the Rebbe did something very interesting. He invited Chassidim into his Yechidus room, into his private room, and he was naked b'shem. He identified by name all the Elter Chassidim, and he also asked that some of the Bacharim should come into the Rebbe's room, including Rabbi Yael Kanal of Shalom and David Raskin and the personalities of 770. And sitting at his desk, the Rebbe said a Maimon Chassidus. On the occasion of the Rebbe's 50th birthday, Yud Aleph Nisan Tafshin Yud Beis, the Rebbe said a Maimon in his office for a handful of Chassidim who he invited in and some Bacharim. The Maimon is available, it's printed. The Maimon begins with the Pasuk, Adishem Sefasai Tiftach, Fiyagit Hilasecha. It's not such a long Maimon, it's a beautiful Maimon. It's a Tefillah Maimon. Because Hashem Zefasai Tiftach Fiyagit Hilasecha is in Kapitel Nun Aleph, it's in Psalm 51. And as we all know, that when a person turns 50, they start saying Kapitel Nun Aleph. So this was one of the psukim of the Kapitel the Rebbe started to say that day. It's a Maimon about Tefillah Richter, Hashem Zefasai Tiftach, Hagan Zemais. When the Rebbe said the Maimon, he cried terribly, he cried a lot. And the understanding and the feeling was that the Rebbe was not only crying because of the Maimon, he was crying because it was his birthday. It was very emotional to the Rebbe that he said, like the Frierdiker Rebbe was told by his father, you should say Chassidus on your Yom Holedus. Here the Rebbe was saying Chassidus on his Yom Holedus, and it was very emotional for the Rebbe. So there was an old Chassid who was a very smart Chassid, who had a very unusual relationship with the Rebbe, a most unusual relationship with the Rebbe. He was a big, big Chassid. His name was Reb Shmuel Levittin. Reb Shmuel. He was probably the only Chassid who could speak to the Rebbe straight. He was much older than the Rebbe. He was almost a Frierdiker Rebbe's age. So when the Rebbe finished this Maimon, he cried, bitter and tren, cried terribly. Reb Shmuel told the Rebbe, Tashmieni Sasam B'Simcha. These are words from Pasuk, Kapitel and Aleph, Tashmieni. Psalm 51 is a mix of very bitter and very sweet. Because David HaMelech is doing tshuva. And tshuva, you cry your kishkes out, but you also have simcha b'tachan on the other hand, So when the Rebbe finished the Maimon, Reb Shmuel wanted to, so to speak, lift the Rebbe's spirits. The Rebbe cried so much. So he told the Rebbe, Tashmieni Sasam B'Simcha, which means, you gotta be happy. So the Rebbe answered him right away for the second half of that same pasuk. Togel no atzoma is dikisa, which means bring gladness to the bones that you crush. You take a guy, you beat him up, and then he'll be happy. You take a guy, you make him into a Rebbe, sei freilich. The Rebbe answered him offen Platz right away. He said to the Rebbe, Tashmieni Sasam B'Simcha. So basically the Rebbe said, yeah, I should be happy, but from where I'm sitting, it's nicht azay geschmack. The seat I'm sitting on, it's a very, very big chair, and it's an enormous responsibility, and I'm crying. This is what happened when the Rebbe turned 50. After that, the Rebbe did not Fabrengen Yud Aleph Nisan, except if it was Shabbos. There's a couple of Fabrengens where Yud Aleph Nisan was Shabbos. There's actually a Yud Aleph Nisan Maimon, Poda B'Shalom Nafshi Mikrovli. In 1956, the Rebbe turned 54. When you turn 54, you start saying Kapitel Nun Hey. In Kapitel Nun Hey, you have Poda B'Shalom. So the Rebbe, it happened to be Shabbos Sagodol. So the Rebbe said, I'm Poda B'Shalom Nafshi, not Yud Kislev, and not Yud Shvat, and not Yud Beis Tammuz. It was connected to his Yom Holedus. There's a Maimon, Poda B'Shalom, which the Rebbe said on his birthday when he turned 54 years old and started saying Kapitel Nun Hey. The next occasion that the Rebbe made a tumult, Yud Aleph Nisan, was when he turned 60. Tafshin Chaf Beis, 1962. That Fabrengen was Sturmdik, a Fabrengen. The Rebbe made a Hadron and Masechta Pesachim, a very Sturmdik Hadron. The Rebbe also said 2 Maimorim, 1 Fabrengen. There's a tape of it. And it was a really big celebration of the Rebbe's 60th birthday. The Rebbe made a big deal. In other words, he celebrated his 60th birthday. A story that's connected to that Fabrengen that I heard from first hand was as follows. They used to have tape recorders. You ever heard of tape recorders? You ever heard of tapes? You haven't even heard of CDs anymore, right? But in those days, the tape recorder did not have a cassette. The little cassettes that we have, yeah. A tape recorder was a monstrosity. It was the size of a box. It was massive. It was this wide, this long, this wide, this high. And it was reel to reel, these big, massive reels. And the tape ran from one reel to the next. And when it finished running, you had to take it and put it on a different reel. It wasn't, in other words, you had to keep, the tape was loose. And they used to record the Rebbe's Farbrengen in these reel-to-reel recorders. And the tapes, the cassettes, these little boxes that the tape is inside, it's so neat. And all you gotta do is put it in and take it out. Started later. In the 1960s, they still had these reel-to-reel tape recorders. And they used to record the Rebbe's Farbrengens. And there was an official tape made by Americans, by the Rebbe, of his own Farbrengens, and then they would send them to, they'd make copies, send them to Israel, send them to France. There were Bacharim learning in France that year. Tavshin Chaf Beis, 1962, the Rebbe sent Bacharim to France. And to Eretz Yisrael. The Rebbe sent Shluchim that year. To Israel and to France. So after Pesach, the Bacharim were learning in France. They came home for Pesach. After Pesach, they went back to France. So one of those Bacharim, his name is Rabbi Avram Lipsker. He's my father's friend. He's over 39, I think, by a few years. He had a tape recorder, and he brought back a tape. In France, there was a chassid by the name of Rabbi Solnech Blinitsky. He may have grandchildren in the room. Solnech was a very big chassid. He lived till 99 and a half years old. He forgot to get off the train, so he went around twice. He missed his He lived 99 years. So he's a holy Jew, he was a malach. He was a very spiritual man, mamash malach. Solnech never saw the Rebbe. He didn't come to the Rebbe. But he was very deeply connected to the Rebbe. And he was a ruchnius dekayid. There were things about him that you could not explain. So Avram Lipsker told me that he put on a tape of the Habereng Fidal from this Solnech listened to, and he played the Maimer, the Rebbe to Maimarim. Solnech is listening to the Maimer, and Solnech says to Avram, Azelcha Maimarim zayin came on the gewesen. We never had such Maimarim. I was on the Lubavitch in the best years. There were never such Maimarim. Never such Maimarim. So Avram says, what's so special about Maimarim? He says, you'll never understand. I'm telling you, Maimarim like this, no Rebbe ever said. And what are they hearing? In case you don't understand, I'll tell you Nachar Maisa, but the same as Yisrael. Hello, I got how many more minutes? I got 8 more minutes. Everybody, the secretarial work starts at 12:30, not now. They brought the Yisrael a picture of the Rebbe, where the Rebbe is smiling, a big, beautiful smile. He took one look at the picture and says, he's smiling to a guy, yeah? He's smiling to a guy. And it was true. So he said to Yisrael, how could you see it from the smile that the Rebbe is smiling to a guy? He said, I can't explain it, but he's smiling to a guy. It was true. So when he said that the Rebbe, there were never Maimarim like this, and the guys are saying, what are you talking about? But this is the truth. This is the story.
Which Maimarim?
There's two, you can look it up, 2 Maimarim. One of them is about Eina Yesem HaMavarech. You're embarrassing me now. You can look them up, Tavshin Chaf Beis. I listened to the tape of that Farbrengen many times, but I don't remember the first Maimer.
Which picture was it?
To Hubert Humphrey, he was speaking to a senator. In 1968, he was running for president, and he came to see the Rebbe. There was a big smile, I think it was in the Rebbe's room, and Solnech knew that he's smiling to a guy, and Humphrey was not in the picture.
Do you have that picture?
Yeah. But imagine a person should look at a photo and say, nish kosher. The Rebbe, hips of this with us made the Rebbe. Anyway, the next year after this Farbrengen, the Rebbe turned 69. Tavshin Lamed Aleph. The Rebbe starts saying Kapitel Ayin. I think the Farbrengen was in the afternoon, and that's when the Rebbe said the Yud Aleph Nisim Maimer, right? What is the Yud Aleph Nisim Maimer? I was told I'm not allowed to teach it in seminary base because all the girls already learned it, and God forbid they should learn it again because they may remember it and there'll be a shaila in the whole Chassidus. The Rebbe said that Maimer in Lamed Aleph, 1971. It's a short Farbrengen. The Farbrengen was dominated by the Maimer. And really that is the Yud Aleph Nisim Maimer. And I'll explain to you in a minute why. I got 5 more minutes, right? So I have time to 6 more minutes. Because I want you to understand how Yud Aleph Nisim Maimer were. Bechlal, the Yud Aleph Nisim Farbrengen, which was a celebration of the Rebbe's birthday, no question about it. And the Rebbe didn't deny it. I mean, the Rebbe did not deny that he was born. The Rebbe didn't even deny that he was important. He just said it's the benkel. It's not me, it's the chair, it's the Frierdiker Rebbe. I don't know who he blamed, but the Yud Aleph Nisim Farbrengen was also a pre-Pesach Farbrengen. As soon as there was a hookup, and the hookup started in 1970-71, as soon as there was a hookup, they made a new schedule. Every Yom Tif, there'd be a Farbrengen the night before. Before Rosh Hashanah was a Farbrengen, before Pesach Sukkot was a Farbrengen, before Shavuos was a Farbrengen. Now, the night before Pesach, it's not so convenient to make a Farbrengen because most people are looking for chametz. You see what I'm saying? So the Farbrengen before Pesach became Yud Aleph Nisim. So the Maimarim Yud Aleph Nisim, as a rule, were not birthday Maimarim, they were Pesach Maimarim. The Rebbe said, my mother, 1972, 73, 74, the last year after this, if I bring it was Tafshin Memei, 1985. After that, the Rebbe is for making Shabbos. 1986, the Rebbe stopped being it off this and became Shabbos. But my mother, I Pesach, my mother, because the whole idea of the Yidaf Listen Rabbeinu was that if you live in Israel or in Europe, in South America, in Australia, or wherever it is, the Rebbe would say a pre-Yom Tif Maimir. So you had from the Rebbe a Torah to go into Yom Tif with. That was the idea. That was the concept. So most of the Yidaf Nissen, my Morim, were not about his birthday. They were about Pesach. But he would always mention the capital. But that's the Rebbe's Yidaf. I don't think anybody's going to argue. The Maimer of the Rebbe's Yemeledes, without a question, in my humble opinion, is B'yei Mashta Yosef. Because that Maimer, it's not just that it's about the Yidaf Nissen, the Yidei Yid Aleph. The Maimer is about Achas Hashem. I mean, the Maimer speaks to the whole Rebbe. The highest madrigas in Achas Hashem, where the spheres of Atzilas are considered the opposite of Achas. The spheres of non-Siv Malka is Atmos. You guys learned the Maimer, right? I was told I'm not allowed to teach it. Because the whole Inyan of the Rebbe is Achas Yisrael, Achas Hashem. Ein et Mavadeh. On the highest levels. And the Maimer speaks to that concept. So to me, the Maimer and the Rebbe are very, very linked. So this was Lamed Av, the short Fabrengen, and the Fabrengen was dominated by the Maimer. The next year, the Rebbe turned 70. That birthday, Yud Aleph Isna Shlamid Beis, is one of the most important days of the whole Nesius of the Rebbe. If I gave you a pencil, I mean, you can't do this, even I can't do this, but if you could find a person who's been around all the years and say, write down on a pencil, the five most important days of the Rebbe's Nesius, what would you put down? You have to put on Yud Shvat, Tafshin, Yud Aleph. You have to, right? Mistam, you have to put on Chamisha B'Tevis. What else? What else? Maybe. But for sure you put Yud Aleph, this and Lamed Beis on that list, for sure. And Mistam, Yud Shvat, Tafshin, Lamed, when the Rebbe was Messiah, the Sefer Torah, for Kabbalah's name Mashiach, of the Nesius, of his leadership, not his life. Tafshin, Lamed, Yud Aleph, this, the Rebbe turned 70, and the Rebbe actually asked for a birthday present, which is very uncharacteristic. The Rebbe does not usually ask for birthday presents. The birthday present was, I want 71 new Lubavitch institutions. You know how many Lubavitch institutions there were in the whole world in 1972? If you say 70, it's probably not so. Lubavitch was small. Lubavitch, how many Moisés Chabad in Israel were there in 1972? More than 15 because there was the yeshivas, but it's not a lot. Today Lubavitch has 5,000 Batei Chabad. There wasn't 100 Batei Chabad in 1972 in the whole world. And the Rebbe asked for a birthday present of 71 new moistus, and he pledges that he's going to give the first 15%. And the Rebbe says, normally I give the last 15% of the cost. He laughs. He says, I hope my financial minister is not going to be too upset. Rabbi Chadda can watch the Rebbe's money, and when you give any person makes, the Rebbe got over 140. The Rebbe asked for 71, and I promise you, 71 was an awful lot. And Lubavitch delivered. That Fabrengen, you could feel the joy. There's a video of it. There's an audio and a video of the Fabrengen. You could feel this. You could feel the love of Chassidim to the Rebbe. You could feel it. The Rebbe, the simcha and the ahava that Chassidim felt to the Rebbe, that Fabrengen, you could hear it through the recording. You could see it in people's faces. They were so happy to celebrate that birthday. And the Rebbe said, I was waiting for an Eis Simcha, and now we have an Eis Simcha. I'm asking for 71 new institutions. The Rebbe got more than twice that many, which was unheard of. And those are big moisters. Big, it wasn't, mom and pops, real new institutions that required building buildings and raising lots of money. And Lubavitch opened up. Lubavitch went to a new level after that Fabrengen. Lubavitch a few times has gotten to a new level. In other words, to think bigger.